It's a little softer now. Listen, Godric. You're strong, stronger than anything I've ever seen. But once I'm gone, the realm will descend into chaos. You must be stronger still. You must be ready. Forget the cure. Focus on power. That's the only thing this world respects. Godric stared at him, eyes narrowed, and gave a reluctant nod. I hear you. I'm still gonna try. Jeffrey smiled faintly. Then I suppose I can't stop you. At that moment, the undead and goblins finished storing the Ravenclaw parts. Godric gave a simple command, and the army began to vanish, one by one in plumes of dark smoke and shadow. The Reaper disappeared with a haunting whisper. Ashrin bowed once before vanishing atop Mirflon. The death wolves melted into the grass, and the towering grims crumbled into dust. Godric stood alone with his father in the now silent, blood-soaked clearing. Only the whispers of the wind remained. He looked up at the sky, now tinged with yellow from the afternoon sun. I will find a way, he whispered. I will find a cure. Somehow, he...
Dear listener, the upcoming episode will be today's last free episode of this story. Come back tomorrow to enjoy free episodes or get coins now to continue listening.
The bronze-clad gates of the palace creaked open with regal weight, and the warm light of the setting sun poured into the compound like molten gold. King Jeffrey rode into the heart of the citadel on his sturdy brown war horse, every clang of his armor echoing authority and legacy. Though his posture remained proud and upright, those who looked closely would notice the subtle signs of wear, the stiffness in his grip on the reins, the occasional winds hitting his beard. Beside him, Godric rode silently, cloaked in shadow and discipline. His brown steed, unlike the king's, moved with a predatory elegance, and stretched across its back was the colossal carcass of a wild boar, its coarse fur still bristling with death, its tusks chipped and bloody. Its body slumped lifelessly over the horse like a slain dragon of old. As they entered the main courtyard, a dozen palace guards stood ready in formation, armor polished, weapons sharp. The moment the king crossed the threshold, the soldiers snapped to attention, their boots slamming the cobblestones in synchronized respect. Halt! The captain barked. The soldiers dropped to a knee as the king dismounted with assistance. All hail His Majesty King Jeffrey, slayer of the past, protector of the crown. King Jeffrey chuckled dryly as he patted the neck of his horse. Easy, boys, I didn't slay this beast, he said, gesturing toward the massive bull. That glory belongs to my son. The guards turned their eyes to Godric, who was already dismounting with silent precision. He unfastened the ropes binding the beast and pulled it down with one powerful tug, letting it thud against the earth with a satisfying crunch of weight. Still, he said nothing. No boast, no pride. King Jeffrey placed a hand on Godric's shoulder. Do you see this? And look at it. The beast is nearly the size of a damn carp, hunted and brought down by my own flesh and blood. His voice rang out across the courtyard. Let the cooks know. I want this boar roasted and served tonight. Season it with wild herbs and stuff it with potatoes and flame onions. No errors. We dine like kings tonight. I am a king after all. The soldiers bowed. Yes, your majesty. Two servants scrambled forward to haul the beast toward the kitchens, struggling under the weight of it as they dragged it away. Godric turned slightly, his expression unreadable. Join us in the royal dining room tonight, Jeffrey said, as he leaned slightly on his cane. It'll give the nobles something to talk about. You came, Godric finally spoke, his voice deep and steady. If it pleases you, then I'll be there. Without waiting for more, he bowed his head and turned toward the inner halls, disappearing into the palace corridors as the last light of day caught the edge of his dark cloak. High above the courtyard, tucked into the balcony of the upper court, Queen Matilda stood beneath the arch of the Eastern Watch. Her sapphire blue gown shimmered faintly in the dying sunlight. Beside her stood Prince Lancel, slender, pristine, His golden
They're feeling good all week because of that, because of the heat. To the
but
heat.
beneath his elegant exterior, his
Hopefully,
lips were
should help.
sneer that twisted his otherwise handsome face. He watched as Godric vanished from view and muttered with disgust. Look at him, basking in the king's favor again. Praise for hunting some oversized pig, while I'm constantly told I'm weak, careless, unworthy. It's always him, never me. Matilda's voice was like velvet dipped in steel. It doesn't matter, my son. You are the crown prince, the true heir. You don't prove yourself to anyone. Mansel's eyes darkened. And yet I'm the one who receives lectures, while that bastard wins everyone's respect. Even after all I've done, he's still treated like a champion. The king only sees him as a weapon. He has always been a weapon, Matilda said coldly. Nothing more. And weapons are meant to be used until they are no longer needed. I can't wait to sit on that damn throne. I can't wait to be king so everyone can bow before me. But it seems like I'll be waiting for several years because father is still very much alive and well. Prince Lancel bellowed. He turned his gaze to his mother, who was quiet. What's the matter? Matilda remained mute. A storm of thoughts raged behind her calm eyes. She wanted to tell him. She needed to tell him. Lord Huron's message had been grim. Geoffrey's health was fading fast, poisoned from within by a cursed wound left behind by a wanderer. There would be no recovery. The king was dying, but her instincts screamed caution. Marcel was unpredictable and angry. If he knew his father was dying, he might act impulsively, might strike too soon, or worse, cause a fracture within the royal family itself. No, not yet. She smiled gently and said, It's nothing, just tired. Marcel narrowed his eyes. Are you hiding something from me, mother? Why would I hide anything from my own son? She replied softly, brushing her fingers along his arm. You will wear the crown one day, all in due time. His gaze drifted back to the city, its towers gleaming, its people bustling with life. When I sit on that throne, I'll remake this kingdom, cleanse it, tear out the rot. And the first one I'll dispose of is Godric. His words dripped venom, and for the briefest moment, Matilda's breath caught in her throat. Deep within the palace, the forgotten chamber, far below the halls of gold and ivory, beneath the palace grounds where torchlight barely reached, a heavy stone door creaked open slowly, revealing a vast chamber shrouded in stillness. Inside, on a raised stone platform, lay Sir Varney, unconscious, shirtless, pale. The knight's breathing was ragged and faint, every inhale like a dying whisper. His once muscular chest was marred with bruises and healing gashes. Dried blood flaked off his lips. A crimson cloth covered his lower body, and a medicinal bowl lay beside the altar, long gone cold. The chamber itself was lined with ancient relics, forgotten armor, rusted weapons, and carvings of grim-faced kings who had long turned to dust. The flames from the wall torches flickered, as if disturbed by an approaching storm. Then came the footsteps, soft, deliberate. From the shadows emerged a man. He wore a black hooded cloak, the fabric thick and coarse. His face remained hidden beneath the gown, but his presence exuded danger, a cold, merciless intent. In his left hand, he held a curved dagger, dark steel etched with runes that faintly pulsed red. The air grew colder with each step he took toward the altar. He paused beside Sir Varney and looked down at the motionless knight. No emotion, no hesitation. The hooded figure raised the dagger, angling it downward toward Varney's exposed chest. And then, a faint groan escaped Sir Varney's lips. His eyes twitched. The hooded man froze, blade trembling in the air. His fingers flexed around the hilt, but the hesitation lasted only a breath. He pulled the dagger higher, aiming to plunge it deep into the knight's heart.
Dear listener, now playing the next audio series.
William swaggered up to the alpha of the herd and gave it a smarmy smile that would put all debt collectors to shame. I need 12 more members of your herd, so I'll give you a choice. Let me choose 12 hippogriffs, and we can call it a night, or you can choose 12 members of your herd, and we can call it a night. Which would you prefer? The Alpha's face contorted in fury. But before it could answer, the captive wyverns screeched in unison. The blood wyvern's piercing gaze locked on the Alpha, making it unconsciously take a step back. Then it looked back at the smiling half-elf in front of it and lowered its head in submission. The students who were assigned to guard the camp were sounding the alarm, banging metal on metal and yelling to wake everyone up. "Wake up! Wyverns are approaching us! Prepare to defend yourselves!" Rising groggily from their beds, the members of the Angorian War Sovereign, as well as Sid and Aerith, scrambled for their weapons. They had grim expressions on their faces as they saw more than a dozen wyverns headed directly toward them. The group was led by a deep red wyvern that was larger than the rest. Although it was dark, the power that radiated from it made the children shudder. Even Dave, seated on the back of the griffin, was worried that they wouldn't survive. The griffin's body was tense, its wings spread wide. It knew it couldn't win against the wyverns, so its plan was to flee with Dave the moment they attacked. The children tensed as the blood wyvern landed just outside the camp, and the rest of the group landing behind it. But it wasn't attacking, it just sat there. And then, a familiar voice rang out. "Calm down, everyone. These wyverns are on our side." William stepped out from behind the wyvern, with Damien and Gideon behind him. "Sorry if we scared you. Guards can return to your posts. Everyone else, go back to bed." But no one moved. They just stared back at him. Finally, Priscilla broke the silence. "Commander, what is going on?" William shrugged. "We took a stroll in the forest and met these friendly wyverns. After seeing how handsome and awesome I was, they decided to accompany me back here." Everyone in the encampment, including the wyverns, stared at William in contempt. All of them were thinking of the same thing. William was completely and totally full of it. William casually flipped his hair and stared at the moons in the distance. "I'm so handsome that even wyverns want to become my friends. That is my final statement on the matter. Everyone go back to bed. It's going to be a long day tomorrow." Sid and Aerith in particular had a lot of questions, but William used his authority to force everyone back to their tents. He had no intention of answering anyone's question, especially Sid and Aerith's, and had already decided to head for Locke as soon as the sun rose in the morning. He didn't want Sid and Aerith to find out that he had no intention of returning to the residence of the Sword Saint with the wyverns. Although the Sword Saint had treated him well, Artemis might yet change his mind after seeing the wyverns that he had wrangled. In order to prevent any conflicts from arising, William decided to just leave the southern regions without seeing the Sword Saint again. "Is this really okay?" Aerith watched the wyverns fly on toward the west. She held a handwritten letter that William wanted delivered to her teacher. Sid crossed his arms. "Whether it's okay or not, there isn't really anything we can do about it." Henry chuckled when he heard Sid's point of view. As the wyverns disappeared from sight, he thought, "Malish, your rival's grandson didn't fall far from the tree." The students cheered with joy as they flew through the air on the wyverns. "Don't get too excited or you might fall off," the student nagged at his friend. But everyone could tell that he was just as excited. 14 wyverns, including the blood wyvern, flew toward the west. The blood wyvern led the formation, keeping the rest in line. On its back was a lone figure in a hooded robe, standing straight as a sword. William told everyone that the man on the blood wyvern was a hermit from the Whimsical Forest, and master of the wyverns. Dave, on the back of his griffin, Lionheart, was accompanied by William, Ella, Dia, and Ragnar. All the hippogriffs that William had acquired were currently inside the Goblin Crypt. Since the majority of them were injured, they weren't fit for travel. William had decided to return to Locke as fast as possible because they were on a tight schedule. Simon, the dean of the academy, had explicitly told William to return on the 18th of the month of the chariot. This was when the knighting ceremony would take place. The king would personally be there to officially recognize William's knight order in front of all of the nobility of the Helen Kingdom. And of course, everyone from the academy would be there to witness as well. It was a very important event, and William had to hurry if he wanted to meet the deadline given to him. Currently, they had 21 days before the knighting ceremony. William wanted to have all the hippogriff's injuries healed before then. For that to happen, he would have to ask for help from the life magus of Lont, Owen. It was several days to Lont, and on the second day, Dave turned to William. "Commander, what is your hometown like?" William smiled. It's not like the city, but it's full of life and calm. If we maintain this speed, we'll be there very soon, and you can see for yourself. William was feeling excited. He wondered how his grandpa would react when he saw the aerial fleet that he had nabbed from the southern regions and brought back to Lont. Suddenly, a loud roar reverberated through the sky. Luffy, the golden ape that protected Lont, stood at the gates and reported what it saw as an approaching threat. The students couldn't believe it when they saw the giant golden ape towering over the gate to the city. The Blood Wyvern flew forward to greet the golden ape, who was poised to throw a massive boulder at the Wyvern fleet. Ezio called out as the Blood Wyvern approached. "It's me, Luffy." The ape recognized Ezio and lowered the boulder in its hand. Ezio looked past Luffy into the town. The general populace of Lont had hidden themselves inside their houses, and only the masters were visible, observing the wyverns from a distance. A sharp cry echoed across the sky as Blitz and John circled around the Blood Wyvern. John laughed. "This is not your style, Ezio. You don't like to be seen. So why arrive in this ostentatious manner?" Ezio pointed back at William. "The young master wanted to bring the wyverns back to Lont. He insisted the commander might need them for the upcoming war." John's eyes landed on the griffin and was slowly approaching them. William, seated on its back, waved at John with a smug expression on his face. John shook his head with a smile as he and Blitz turned back toward the town of Lont. "Yes, this is definitely his style." James and Mordred appeared, big grins on their faces. They couldn't believe that William had just shown up with a fleet of wyverns. James was chuckling internally, wishing he could see how his nemesis, Aramis, would react after finding out what William had done. James thought of his late wife. "Ezra, I wish you could have met William. I'm sure that you would be a big fan of his grandson of yours. He's just like you when you were younger. Bold, resourceful, and very opportunistic." James looked up at the wyverns as they landed and laughed. William was certainly going to make a difference in the upcoming war. James couldn't stop himself from smiling after hearing Ezio's report. He was more proud.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent. So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes. So it's gentle on your skin.
Thanks. Close.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
William's accomplishments in beating Aramis' disciple